Alright guys, I'm going to do a demo for you real quick here because on your character design projects, I'm going to take the demo that I did the other day. We want to go into this and we want to apply some base color. Nothing too fancy, we're not getting into hardcore rendering or anything, but I'm just going to go in here, I'm going to zoom in to a couple of the characters that I worked on in class, and I'm just going to show you, all I want you to do is do like a Copic marker pass. And so some of you that want to use Photoshop, if you want to color, that's totally fine. Again, the benefit of using Sketchbook Pro is it's totally affordable. It's only $35 for you guys to buy, and they have some different color options. So first thing you want to do, let's take your line that's up here, come over here. So here's my line layer. I'm going to turn it off and on, okay? And then I'm going to create a layer that's underneath it, because this is going to be sort of my Copic marker layer. And to bring up the Copics, all you want to do is you have the little toolbox up here. If we double tap that, or single tap it actually, it comes up and we have a list of different Copic markers that are here. And they actually interact and work just like Copic markers, which is pretty fantastic. And by the way, I had a student that stayed on that and said, that's the only color choice? No, there's a whole rainbow of colors here, and you go through and you pick. And if there's another color you want to get, or you want to add a black value to it, that color is being represented over here as well on the color wheel. So if I check that right in here, you can see the little swatch moving, and if I touch this right here, see it jumps up here. So if you have something and you want to darken it a little, you can also just grab that little color icon down. It'll still work. Now, over in the brush settings here, you need to come down here. You have the little submenu here called Copic. Okay, and so there's a couple different options in how you guys can work on this if you want to block in color for a character underneath. You can come over here and just take well, these are the Copic marker tips, and let me show you what they do. One is sort of a broad, okay, one is a little bit thinner, all right, and hold on a minute, let me get this over here so we can see. And then you have sort of a finer line, and then you have a real fine line. Okay, actually this sort of acts thick and thin. That's fun for sketching, and you can get details, and if you press down on it you get a thicker line. And then we have this sort of other thin brush tip, and then we have this really finite that allows you to go in there and add some detail. So there's 6 different Copic marker tips that I want you guys to be fully aware of, okay, that you can use. Now, hold on a minute, we're having an issue here. Great, my eraser stopped working again, so let me come in here, let's erase. We have some problems with Sketchbook Pro running accurately when we are recording at the same time. So, all right, now, when using the Copics, something I might recommend to you, and I've done this a couple times myself when I found some pretty good success with it, is sometimes I come in and I airbrush a color underneath first. And so I come over here and I'm going to find the airbrush tool right there, and there's a couple variations of it that have presets. To adjust the preset, we just hold down, double tap on it, and we get some options. It shows us what the brush settings are. But what I can do for this, like if I want to work on a character's skin color, I just like the Copic marker options. It's just really easy. I could come in here, remember I am under my line layer, by the way. Okay, I could come in here and just sort of nicely do a nice glaze like this underneath my line with the airbrush, and it actually works pretty cool. And sort of get that in there the way that I want. I can even come over here and address his arms. Now I'm going to have some overspray, but that stuff I can clean up a little bit later. And part of the reason we want to do this, I'm not looking for full-fledged renderings, but we just want to have something available that we could work off of. I'd like to throw an airbrush color underneath like this, because then I could come back and get a really distinct marker feel. And I could come in here, and these work like markers, and I could even scale them up and down. Okay, actually this one doesn't scale. It stays about that size and it goes larger. So that means I would have to go to the one underneath right here, and that's about that size now. And then if I want to go larger, I can get them a little bit larger. And then they really act like markers. When you throw this down, it acts like a real marker that if I overlap it, where it overlaps, it gets a little darker. So it can give you that sort of really nice marker feel. So when you get in here, you can start hashing in some other details, values, whatever you want, and it's a really fun way to work. And I really like markers. I still use them professionally to knock out like quick line drawings or comps that I have to send for clients. So markers and traditional media is not dead yet. Okay, not at all. So I'm just going to come in here now, and like I can just sort of go across here. I can strike a couple areas. This acts as like a little bit of a shadow too. Okay, if that's a little too dark, remember I can come over here. I like to just throw a little bit, maybe a little bit of yellow up on his forehead, a little yellow on the arms, a little yellow there. I might throw a little bit, let's go to a little darker marker here. I might come over here and pencil in, he has a couple of these little stubs on his chin. I might come over here and darken up what's underneath. You just have fun with it, you know, treat it like a marker. Okay. And this is how I sort of block out just a rough color. Now, remember with markers, one of the key secrets to markers is we don't work dark to light. We work light to dark. Markers build up. So we can do a skin pass like this. It's sort of yellow. If I go over that, it gets a little bit darker, and then it averages out. But then if I want to put a little bit of a shade, I just grab another marker, and I just sort of come along the side like that. And that's how you will always work light to dark. So you have to get used to building up your characters that way, which I think is quite fun. Now, let's say I want to put a shadow or something on this character, but I want to be able to adjust the opacity. It's not like Photoshop where I can adjust the opacity with a brush. All I do is I add another layer up above it. Okay, here are my layers. I get that the way that I want, and now I could come over here and I could just sort of go, you know, I'm going to have a little bit of something under there. I might have a little bit of a shadow under part of his eyes maybe in here. Okay, maybe under the nose. Maybe part of the mustache gets a little bit of shadow on there. All right. I can even, as I start applying a little bit of color, I can even come back in a little bit later, and I can just modify anything else I want. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some other color in here. Let me erase, by the way, I want to erase the whites around his eyes to get his eyes to pop out. And you know what, I got sidetracked there for a minute. Let me show you the shadows that I did. See the shadows I put in there? It's on a separate layer. Now I can adjust them down and I can blend them in really easily. I really like this option to be able to do this really quickly, because then I can blend them in, and then I just click right over here and say merge downward, and now it's merged with the color layer, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to come in here. I want to erase the whites of the eyes to get those eyes to sort of pop through that he had there. I can also, you'll notice, yeah, hey Phil, you have overspray. Well, I know sometimes I like the overspray. Sometimes I wait to the end and I just clean it up, just going along with the eraser real quick like that. Sometimes I get a roughness in the markers where I just want to leave it and use that. So let me go in here, let me throw in some more colors on this guy. Let's see, let's maybe give him some, let's put some pants on him. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. Again, I always double check. I'm on my color layer right here. And let's go back to my Copics here. Again, that brush is only going to get that thin, so I'm going to have to use this other brush. I was telling a student before earlier, I wish they had a brush sort of in the middle, but they don't. And the thing about markers that I really like, and I've always liked, is you can hit something like twice and it puts a little bit of a darker stroke underneath. This, I think they did a really good job in the Sketchbook Pro of getting that to mimic. Okay. If I want to go a little darker, I can grab the color icon over here, bring this down, and it allows me to come in and like throw maybe a couple values in a couple spots, so I don't have just all the same thickness or the same value in between my characters. That can get them to pop out a little bit. And then I like to do sort of a warm, cool thing. If I have a warm light coming from one side, I might come over and, you know, throw another tone or a little bit of a warm in there. Just to do it, it just breaks up. It's not all one value. Just look at that, 2 little touches of warm. I can even come over here, go to the cools, grab a light cool, and then I could throw a light cool sort of in the back. You see that? On the back of the leg, I just sort of stroke that little cool like that, little right there. That's it, simple, done with that. We'll jump over to the shirt now. Let's say for the shirt, he has like a, well, I had him with a wife beater and a gold chain on, so, no, I'm not stereotyping anybody. So let's just, oh, that's not gold. Let me back up there. Let's take that off. Let's go to my gold here. Let me just throw a little bit of this yellow in here. Throw a bit of yellow right there. And sometimes it blends in. You know, if you want, you can do it on a separate layer. You can also come back a little bit later. You can grab a color like that, and then you can sort of go over it or try to get rid of it if you want, blend it in. I like it when colors sort of blend in like that. It gives a rough feel. And then for a shirt, I don't know what color to do for a shirt. Let's do like a green. I don't know. That could be cool. I'm just going to come in here, throw a little bit of green in there like so. Okay, get that color sort of in there. Come in, might select a darker version of it, sort of put a little shadow or two here. Might go over right there, maybe stroke something like that in there. Maybe he's got some stripes in his shirt. Just something in there. Just gets him to pop out a little bit. And still, I'm looking at his mustache. I'm like, you know what if I want to develop that a little bit more? Come over here. Get a little darker in there. There we go. Now, I like drawing in blue. A lot of students were drawing in black. That's fine. If that's something you need to change, you can easily do that by bringing the image into Photoshop and just turning it into all black. I'm going to undo that because you know what? That came out a little dark. So what I'm going to do is add another layer above and go with one of the smaller Copics here. And just sort of press in here, and I can darken up a little bit of his eyebrows. What's really fun is when you get really used to Sketchbook Pro, and this is how I work traditionally a lot, you draw with the markers and then just sort of draw on top of the markers and you use value to turn and make things sort of pop alive. Okay? That's it. So for me, you know, I might add a little bit more. I might decide to put some other colors or something on that character, whatever it is. Well, I haven't done his shoes yet. Let's just see if we can finish him up real quick here. Oh yeah, he's got a turkey club. I know, for beating turkeys. I can take one of the smaller pens here and put little details like this. So you can go in and start to render some little things. I can put little dots in. You know, use these pens to your advantage. I can put little lines on there to make him a little bit more scratchy on his face if I want. That pops him out or changes. And then when I'm all done, I was just doing a quick demo here. I don't want to go too complex. When I'm all finished, then if I want, I could come back over and I could clean up the outside line. And I'll do that in just a second here. Let me block in his shoes real quick here. Okay. This way he stands out and he has something. And now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead. Remember, that's on a separate layer, so I can adjust it. I'm going to merge that layer downward like so. And again, this is just a quick pass at it. So I'm just going to take my eraser right now and go along his paint. Clean it up a little like that. Nothing fancy. Okay. There we go. Got that done. Let's do this side in here. There we go. And almost done. And that's it. That's pretty cool. And just, you know, again, base color pass, something simple. Just gets him, it's not so white. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just something on the character. And then, yeah, yes, you could go in Photoshop and get more exact and render it out, but sometimes you just get in there and you just have fun and you just, you know, throw a couple. I like just being rough with the markers. Sometimes I just stick with one and just try to block in a character, get their face done, try to put in some other darks, see where it takes me, you know, go a little bit lighter, see what happens if you know, where you could put some different darks, where they might, maybe it's under part of the eyes, maybe it's on part of the head, by the ears, under a little flap or two here or there. Take some yellow, maybe throw a little yellow on there, a little on the forehead, a little on his lip. Get the face to pop out, and then I can come back, I can erase anything around the eyes that I didn't want to be there. Get the eyes to pop a little. It's just having fun. Just seeing where it takes you, you know, and I just block it in. And yeah, you'd be surprised after a while of doing this, you can get pretty fast and proficient at just doing a quick mock-up, and you have something really fun to show people. Look at that. Face is done. Boom. Now I can just go over. Look at that. Quick, done, easy. Now I can jump over. And I could do the rest of the body. And again, remember the little marker parts here too. If you want to add in a little detail, you can take a darker line and you could come in here and you can put some little line detail like that. You see that? You can make it look like his face is sort of rough. Maybe he's got a wrinkle in his forehead or something. I could use the smaller Copic in here, and maybe he has a little stubble on his chin. Let's go a little bit darker in there like this. Again, watch. If I add another layer, use this to my benefit here. See, I can put some little circles or little edge detail, scales, whatever I want. Maybe he's got some hairs poking out here. or something. And since it's on another layer, heck, I can even stipple. All I have to do if I get too dark is I can just adjust it very quickly. I like it. I press on the layer, merge it down, done. Then I'm back on the color. So this shouldn't take too long. It's really user-friendly in Sketchbook Pro, and it's just a quick comp that you're doing on your characters to get them to pop. All right? Have fun, guys.